Hi, everybody. Today is a little bit different kind of prayerful pause because I want to talk about the elections, not who you're voting for. That's between you and God. I do urge everyone to pray about their vote, however, and to make sure that the people we are voting for um, come as close as possible. Nobody will be 100%, but as close as possible to the values that we hold and that we say we believe in. But I want to talk with you instead about the actual process of voting. Every year, there are mail in ballots, absentee ballots called in some places, that come in and have to be counted. And you will always see that adjustment after the election returns have been posted. It sometimes takes 2 or 3 days to get everything counted, but usually, always, they can tell if the number of ballots that they're receiving by the mail is enough to tip the balance for one party or the other, which is why sometimes we know of local elections and even state elections. Of course, there is the Gore versus Bush election, but where the tallies don't come in very quickly, or a winner cannot be announced because not everything has been counted yet. And in some cases, we hear about them, right, across the country, where it sometimes takes weeks if there's a recount. I want us to be prepared for that kind of inevitability this time. And there are a few things that I think we can do to prepare ourselves for this election season. And of course, one of them, because this is a prayerful pause, is to pray every day that fairness wins out, which it always has. I don't know if you've seen Mr. I think it's Ginsburg, who is he was the Republican attorney who argued Bush v. Gore at the Supreme Court, and he's sort of an election specialist around the country who has done research on voter fraud for 20 years. And he admits that there were, I think it was 3 cases of voter fraud, 3 in 20 years, that essentially the United States does not have a voter fraud problem. And so really to perpetuate that and saying it's a real issue, well, we know from our intelligence officers that is one of the messages that is being sent out by foreign governments to try to undermine our elections and our confidence in our election. We don't have a voter fraud problem in the United States. What we do have is some people who would like us to believe that everything should be determined on that Tuesday night, November 3rd. And I just want to prepare us all for a few things. We should not expect that. We should not expect that we're going to know anything, I think, much before December. Give them a month to figure it out, right? To tally everything. And if there's a recount or there's a challenge, great. Now, a way around that is if one side or the other, and I'm not just talking presidential election, but also the Senate elections and House, that if one side or the other is just a landslide victory, then obviously they can declare a winner. Just like we have in the past. You take the total number of outstanding votes of the mail-ins that you have, and if they're enough to sway it, you don't announce. If it's not enough to sway it, you go ahead and announce it. So the other thing I want to talk about is, the one thing is, don't get upset if you don't hear anything right away. The second thing, though, is to make sure, and I've said this before, make sure you have a plan for voting. If you are in a part of the country that can vote in person, vote in person, maybe with early voting. Here in New York State, early voting starts in October, and I intend to vote in person as an early vote. However, I've also requested an absentee ballot in case I can't do that. How can the government know if I vote in 2 places? Easy. The absentee ballot here and in every other state has an electronic code in it, and they verify it when it comes through. It's all done by computer and hand checked where need be. So We don't have to worry about people voting twice, although it would be a felony if you tried to do that. We should have a backup plan for what we're doing. We shouldn't expect the results on Tuesday night. And the other thing is to go planning on spending, if you're going in person, plan on making a day of it. I understand some people have to work, which is why early voting is a good thing, or absentee ballot. But if you don't and you can afford the time, just go with the attitude of, I'm going to go figuring I can spend hours there if I need to, even though it's your local polling place and you may go frequently and you never have to wait. Go with the intention that you may have to wait. And then if it turns out you don't, it's kind of like a snow day, an unexpected gift of a day. But the other thing, finally, that I want to say does affect our prayerful pause with the pastor. Some of you, I don't know how you watch us. I don't know if you go directly to YouTube or if you click on a link that's in Facebook or if you go to our website. I don't know. I just know that we had about 650 views in a 2-month, 8-week period this summer, which is great. That's wonderful. But how you get there, I don't know. I want you to know that I will be really almost turning off my social media starting October 1st. I don't want to be prone to people spewing untruths or unintentionally forwarding a message that came from a Russian robot. I don't want to do that. So I will be dropping back. I may check in once in a while to see what friends and family are doing. But I won't have a big social media platform presence for probably beyond that too, maybe into December, maybe a 2-month break. And I encourage you to do that too, as much as possible, because anything that comes across that is of an inflammatory nature on either side, discount it. And they are things that will really hook us. Because if you have not seen a movie, what is it called? It's on Netflix. Social Dilemma, I think is the name of it. Social Dilemma. You must see this. It's a documentary, and they interview the engineers, the computer engineers who designed all these different platforms. And they're talking about the dangers of them, how they get hacked, how they manipulate our thinking, how the algorithms work. It blows my mind. And everyone should watch it as far as I'm concerned. Social Dilemma. But anyway, partly because of that and partly just because of who I am, I don't want that energy in my life. I've already started cutting back. If you happen to watch Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, any of those 24-hour news places, I also urge you to start tapering off. Pick 1 or 2 shows that you trust. You trust that the journalists are good journalists and not just spewing propaganda, and only watch those shows, because so much of the rest of it is just same thing over and over again. It's not healthy for us spiritually to subject ourselves to those kinds of things. So I encourage you, if you get your feed for Prayerful Pause from Facebook, and I will continue to put it on there, most likely, but I may not. So if you don't see it there, don't freak out. You can go to 2 other places. One is to our website, southpc.org, and right on the home page, there's a large picture there that mentions, if you click here, you'll be taken to our YouTube channel. Or you can go directly to YouTube, and once you're there, just search for South Church Rochester, and you'll find our channel, and all of our prayerful pauses are there as well. My message for today is, we have to be cunning like wolves. We have to take care of each other, because that's what people in a faith community do. We have to make sure that what we are listening to is the voice of our master and not the voice of propaganda. And so, my friends, tune out. Like from the 60s, wasn't that one of the messages? Tune out. You can tune in to Prayerful Pause, and I hope that you will. But really dial back on social media and go watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix. It will freak you out too. In a good way. We all need to know this stuff. All right? Let's say a prayer. God, these are fearful times that are fraught with anxiety as we approach this time of discernment for our nation. Help us to be responsible citizens. Help us to listen to you and accumulate the facts as best we can and cast our vote in a way that has integrity for our faith. We ask this, Jesus, in your name, especially since you stood up for what you believed in, even though it cost you your life on earth. We are grateful that you stand with us and ask your blessings this day. Amen. Okay, everybody, that's it for now. I'm Pastor Deb Swift with South Presbyterian Church in Rochester, New York. You've been watching the Prayerful Pause with the Pastor. And again, check us out on YouTube, South Church Rochester, or go to our website, southpc.org. And we'll see you next time for a Prayerful Pause. Bye for now.